and this month our theme is kitchen. So we're going to jump right in. We have 5 projects we're going to talk about today. I've got them all on display. The first one we're going to do is this tea towel. So this is done in IQ Designer, and we're going to show you how to set it up and all that good stuff. Before we jump into the project, handouts. We all like handouts, right? So I'm going to show you where to find this, and then I'm also going to show you where you can find all of the handouts kind of together. So this is a Baby Lock project. So if you go to the Baby Lock website, babylock.com, and you type in pineapple in the search engine, this is the only thing that'll pop up. So it's really easy to find it. This is the page that'll pop up if you type in pineapple. And if you kind of scroll down, there's the original. And there is a little link, and it's hard to miss, but like right here, it says download. And if you download that, that's all the instructions that we're going to be doing today. Okay? Now, let's do this. Let's do this, Dee. All right. Well, if you print out these directions, it comes with a picture of a pineapple. So you got to be able to get that pineapple into your machine, right? So there's different ways that you can get the pineapple into your machine. If you have like a Solaris or a Radiance, you can use your scanning board and scan it. From your phone, you could pull up the PDF and take a screenshot and use the positioning app to send it to your machine. You could take a screenshot of it from your computer and put it on a USB. That's what I did. So I have the artwork already saved to my USB. So one of the things I just kind of want you guys to notice is this uses 2 different kinds of decorative stitching. We've got satin stitching and a chain stitch. And then I'm going to start my timer because with IQ, I could go on for 2 hours about IQ. We also have 2 pieces of fabric. So this is going to be an applique. It's going to have 2 pieces of fabric. So it's got lots of texture. I just love the way that it comes alive. So I'll pass that around. The green's underneath the, what do you call it, the fruit? The bottom part. So the stalk is kind of underneath. The satin stitching is on top of the stalk. You can kind of see that. So we're going to put the stalk down first. And I'm using a mouse. If you have IQ Designer, you need a mouse. If you have a Solaris, you have to use a wired mouse. And it took me a while to find one that actually worked and didn't jump all around. This is a cheap one from Staples. If you want, you can come write the part down, but you just need a wired mouse. And I know y'all are fancy. All right, so we're going to pull this up in IQ Designer, and I'm going to have to tell it what kind. Now IQ is going to look different on different machines. Okay, so this is the Altair 2. The Solaris and the Radiance have a few more bells and whistles than IQ. But we can still do a lot of great stuff with the Altair 2. So your machine may look a little different, but you have most of these tools, okay? So the first thing, before I pull up the artwork, I'm gonna have to tell it what kind of stitches I want it to pull up as. So I am going to select my line properties, which is right here at the top. It's this little like piece of paper thing. And I'm gonna pick just double stitching. All right, I'm going to click OK, and there it is right there. I can see it. Now to pull in artwork, there's 2 different ways that you can do that on this machine, and it's a little fern icon. That's how we're going to pull in artwork. So I'm going to open a line design. It's going to ask me where I want to get it. I have it on this USB, so that's what I'm going to select. And there's my pineapple, and there we go. I'm going to click Set. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I would not recommend bringing the pineapple in as satin stitching if you're going to have to do some stuff to it. If I'm just going to stitch it out as satin stitching, then I would have brought it in as satin stitching. But because I'm going to use it for some other things, the easiest way to bring it in is just with line stitches. Does that make sense? What is that, double stitching? Okay. I'm going to click OK. It's going to give me a preview. That looks pretty good. If it didn't look good, I could adjust the grayscale to the left and retry it. I didn't really get much of a difference. So I'm just going to leave it like it came in, and I'm going to click set. And now I'm in IQ. Now we're still in artwork. This is not stitches yet. It's still artwork. So down here at the bottom, I've got a dark fern and a light fern. If I click towards the light fern, my background image goes away. This is a reference. So on the Solaris, this little dark and light fern is in a different spot. It's up at the top, but you still have it. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it off because I don't need it. So I'm going to use my zoom key so I can come in here and kind of blow it up. Can you guys see those little tips? I don't like that. So you are going to have to clean up your artwork a little bit. So I'm going to get the eraser key, and that one's fine. I'm going to zoom in a little more. And if you have this particular machine, there's a little box over here where you can move your item around to zoom in. On the Solaris, it looks like a little hand, and it's just right there. So I'm going to just use that erase tool, and I'm just going to get those tips, just like that. Now, what I want to be careful of is, I'm going to see if my IQ people know, what did I just do? Okay, yes, you don't want to make a hole. So if you make a hole, just click the undo key and just take your time and just do it again. So I'm not going to go and get all these right now, but this is what you would do. Okay, you're going to clean it up. So get your pineapple nice and clean. Get rid of all of the uglies. And I'm just using the eraser tool to do that, okay? And I kind of don't like right here, there's a little, I don't like that either. Let's blow it up. It's kind of hard to see. You just kind of have to take your time and look at it, right? I'm sorry if I'm making you sick. Okay. When it's really blown up, you can see that it's just like 1 or 2 pixels, but we'll still get them. Let's make my eraser tool a little smaller. All right. So the cleaner your artwork is, the less cleanup that you have to do, because this was a screenshot. It's pretty clean, but still there's a few places that you got to fix up, okay? All right. I'm not going to clean this all up. Once I get it all cleaned up, I'm going to hit memory. And that's so that I have a nice clean copy of this, okay? So to save it into the memory, you would click the Pocket End tool here, or on the Solaris and probably the Radiance, it actually says memory. You can save it anywhere you want. I'm just going to save it to the USB. All right. I'm going to do an all clear here, and I'm going to show you where this is, okay? So once you get yours cleaned up, I saved this one to the machine. Okay, so I have my artwork kind of saved here so that you guys can see where we're going. Can you kind of see what I'm doing here? All right, so I've got all of these pieces saved. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I would pull up, or I would actually have the pineapple already pulled up, right? You're not going to get rid of yours. I got rid of mine because I'm not going to clean it up. I've got this beautiful pineapple in front of me. The next thing I need to do is I got to separate the parts, right? We're going to need to create a placement and a tack down and then decorative stitches. So we know that we're going to do that in 2 different parts. We've got a stalk and a fruit. So we're going to do 2 different appliques. So I tell you what, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get rid of this fruit here. All right, just have to take a peek at my phone to see how long I've got. Okay, I'm going to use, I like this tool right here. This is my select tool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of draw a box around what I don't want and use my scissor key. All right, I can zoom in a little bit more, and I can do that again. So I kind of like to use this box tool until I just can't use it anymore. And I kind of feel like at this point, I'm probably getting really close to it. So at this point, I probably use my eraser tool. And I'm just trying to get rid of, I just want the stalk, okay? So we're going to just pretend like this is perfect. I'm not going to take a lot of time, but there we go. So I'm going to get rid of everything except for the stalk, all right? And once you get that done, save it. You can never save too much. If you save something you didn't mean to save it, who cares? At least you, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Once I get my stalk perfect, I'm gonna go ahead and save it. So just like we did before, you can click the Pocket In tool. I'm gonna save it to the USB so that it doesn't get confused because my actual good ones are in the machine. All right, so the next thing I need to do is I gotta get rid of all these insides so that I can actually just have a placement line. So now I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do that. All right, so probably the select tool would be really good to use for that. What about, do you guys do a lot of IQ projects? All right, are these tools that you use often? No, okay. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm just trying to clean up that inside. You guys with me? Once I get that inside cleaned up, I'm gonna save it, Pocket In. Just save it to the USB. Okay. At this point, I like to do all of my artwork first. You can keep going back between embroidery and IQ. There's nothing wrong with that, but I like to get all of my artwork done first because then it's real easy. So what I would do now is I would do an all clear, and I'm gonna go back and get that pineapple, and we're gonna work on the fruit. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my pocket, my memory pocket tool. The good copy is saved to the machine. So at this point, I would come and I'd get my pineapple again. And this time I would, it's cleaned up because I saved a good copy of it. See why it's important to save a copy of it? So this time I'm gonna get rid of the stalk and I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm going to, let's do it. I'm gonna get rid of that stalk. I'll use that select tool. We'll just cut it. And then I would use my eraser tool and just get rid of all of that. If I need to zoom in, I can. All right, and then once I get the pineapple with all of the little markings, save it, and then do the same thing. Go in and take out, remove all of the insides of it so that you just have the outline. Does that make sense? Okay, it's so relaxing. And you can actually do this on one day. You don't have to do this on the same day you want to make your applique. So if you want to sit down and you feel like just doing some computer work, this would be the great thing to do that with, right? Get all your artwork ready. All right, I'm gonna do an all clear. Questions about how to make the artwork? Okay, now that we have all of the artwork pieces here, this is a cinch to go together. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that stalk. Okay, the stalk's on bottom, the fruit part is on top. So I'm gonna select this empty stalk because I just want a place to put my fabric. So I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna hit set. I'm going to select my line type and I'll select the double stitches because that's the best option to tack down my fabric. And I'll select a color so you can see it. I'll do like red. I think that'll show up really good on the camera. Okay. The fill bucket, and I'm going to zoom in here so we can kind of see. And then you just click, once the fill bucket is selected, you just click on the outline. And do you see how it turned? All right, so now I'm going to go to next. I'm just going to I'm going to keep clicking through until I get to embroidery mode. And so this is another spot where it might look different. It does look different in Solaris. You just have to do a few clicks. Here, I'll have to do a few more clicks. So I'm just going to keep clicking preview. It's just reminding me, hey, you're leaving. If you didn't save this and you want a copy of it, save it now. So I really like how it's kind of dummy proof. I like how it reminds you. I'm going to go ahead and click set. And again, it asks me, hey, once you go, you're not going to be able to get this back as artwork. Are you sure? Yep, I'm sure. I'm embroidery mode now. So I have this will be my fabric placement. Now I can make a choice. If I want to go back and get the stalk again and bring it back, I could have two different ones, or I could just back the stitching up. Does that make sense? For time purposes, I'm going to just do one, okay? But you need to run this twice. The first time it's going to be for your placement, then you'll lay your fabric down and you'll run this again, and it'll be to tack your thing down. Now let's go and let's get some decorative stitching to go on top of it. So let's go to add. Let's go to IQ. I have all of my artwork made, so I'm just going to go down here to the pocket tool. And I have the good artwork saved in the machine. All right, so this time I'm going to get this one because I'm doing the decorative stitches on top of it. Set. I'm going to do a fill bucket, or not fill bucket, but my line properties right here. And this time we're going to pick this chain stitch. I'm going to pick, I just keep picking red because I think it's easy to see on screen. I'm going to pick the fill bucket, and I like to zoom in so that I can actually, you have to click on the outline. There we go. I'm going to go to next. The directions will tell you how to adjust your chain. They want you to adjust it down to 0.140. So that's what we used on the sample. I'm going to click set and preview and OK and set, and it's just reminding me. So there we go. So I've got my placement and my tack down, and then I've got my decorative stitches. Now we got to go get that pineapple. So let's see here. Go to add, IQ. We're going to pull up our artwork that's already saved and everything down here in the pocket. It's in the machine. I'm going to get just the fruit outline set. Yes, placement. I'm going to choose my line property type, which will choose just double stitches. I just pick red just because it shows up well on the screen. Do a fill bucket. I find that if I don't zoom in, sometimes I don't always get to click on the edge. All right, I'm going to go next. Preview, okay, and set, okay. There we go, got that. Again, you've got to run this one twice, right? And then now we need to go get our decorative stitches for the top of it. So let's go to add. And if you are feeling like, oh my goodness, she's going super fast, there are step-by-step instructions on that handout. Now, my personal style, I go a little different. I do all my artwork at one time. So the instructions show you a different style. So you got to find your IQ style. What's your IQ style? You know, I find people, they can't stand the way I do it. They hate doing all the artwork. They like doing it a little at a time. No, that's nothing wrong with that, right? You got to do what is easiest for you. So the instructions go back and forth between embroidery and artwork, okay? So it's the same thing. It's just you get there a different way, right? But they do the exact same steps. Okay, people are looking at me like, huh? Okay, I got to pull up the pineapple, the fruit, the good copy. There is the little, is that called the fruit? What is that called on the pineapple? It's the fruit. Okay, set. Thank you. Kaylin says that it must be official. Okay. All right, this time I need satin stitching. So there's satin stitching. It was already on satin stitching because that's the default, but I always like to pick a color, especially as a newbie to IQ. I don't know, it'll make a noise and it'll tell you if it didn't do it, or if it did do it, you'll hear the little click. But as a newbie, I really liked physically seeing that color. That helped me know that it actually had been done. So I go to the fill bucket and I click on that outline. There we go. It turned red. It makes me feel better. I'm going to go to next. For the satin stitching, I believe the instructions, we left it at, yep, we're just leaving it at the default. If you don't like, you can take a look at mine. If you don't like yours quite that small, you can make it a little bit larger. That will not hurt anything at all. And then set. All right, so here is the most important thing that you will do. If let's say that you want to stitch this pineapple out again later, at this point we're in embroidery mode, right? So if I save it right now to memory, I can save it to the machine or to the USB. This way I can come here, pull up embroidery design, and it will be finished. If I don't save it here, I'm going to have to go back and recreate all of those steps. Does that make sense? So save it in embroidery mode once you get all of your stuff set up. Okay, it's ready to go. Like how long? That took us less than 20 minutes and we did an embroidery design. All right, we're going to do reverse canvases next. Have you guys ever seen these before? If you're in the cutting world, you may have seen this, right? These are really popular, especially with people that have the cutting machines. I'm done. There isn't a handout for this, so but we're going to show you guys some ideas that might work really well on this. So a cutting machine is like a Brothers Scan and Cut or like a Cricut. Yeah, like where you can cut stuff out and then you heat press it on, or I guess you can stick it on as well. So this is so fun because you go to place like, I know that we live in Oklahoma. So like if you can't get it at Dollar General or Walmart, I'm probably not going to get it until I go to the big city, right? Like that's just kind of how it is in the rural areas out there in Oklahoma. So like this is from the dollar store. So what you do is you buy a canvas, and then you go home and you can use a butter knife or a flathead screwdriver, and you just pop all the yes, pop those staples off. You can paint this. You can leave it unpainted. Um, but you do something to this if you want to. I've also seen people like take chicken wire and a hammer and like add all kinds of texture to it and then paint it. I mean, you can really like make this match your home decor. So I will tell you, I went to one of those paint parties like that they have, have you guys ever been to paint party? Okay. And so we had some brown paint, and to make it look like stain, we just wiped it on with a baby wipe. So a lot of the wood still shined through and it looked like it was stained. So that's a really cheap way that you can kind of, for like a 50-cent bottle of paint, you can make this look like stain if you don't have any stain around the house. My husband has a lot of stain, but some of it isn't water-based. I would recommend using a water-based. Yeah, you don't want to use something that's oil-based. But okay, this is black paint that I wiped on. I kind of like the kind of, and I did kind of sand it a little bit too. So when we can pass these around here in just a second. So get your canvas, all your wood part all prettied up. And then you're going to find the center of your, yes, this is a dream to stitch on because it's so stiff. It won't shrivel. What?
So do you need
pucker? Thank you. Yes. Okay. Yes, you do want to use a stabilizer. I have a cutaway. All right. So I did hoop a cutaway. I would recommend using also the magnetic hoop because it won't give you hoop burn. If you've never used these, this is the 5x7 one. You want to make sure that you get your design as centered as possible. And then you just slide these on from the center. There's a little arrow here, and you just kind of slide them on and they pop into place. And it works better if it's on a flat surface. I'm just holding it up here so that you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. This is the 5x7. There's a 10x10. There is a 9x14. And there's a 7x12. And they're all Baby Lock brands. And if you've ever used the aftermarket ones, you have to, like some of the aftermarket brands that are not Baby Lock, you have to be careful because sometimes your foot can hit the side of the, yes. So a lot of times when you use the aftermarket hoops, you always should trace your embroidery field on your machine to make sure. But on these, you don't have to because it's a Baby Lock product. We have dead space in here. And the machine knows exactly where that dead space is. You don't ever have to worry about it hitting that, and it will automatically slow down. The big one slows down to 350 stitches per minute, so it will slow down for you. But hoop it up, embroider your design, and then I would recommend using a power stapler if you have one. And my husband normally does it, and this time he was being difficult, and he was like, "Are you going to bake me some cookies? What are you going to get?" I'm like, "I'm not going to bake you cookies to help me staple this." So a lot of times, if I'm feeling, you can use flat tacks, okay? I don't like to use the tool by myself. I'm not, because it's just so scary. And he's like, "It's not going to hurt you," but it's just like, pow, Yes, yes. So I will, yes. I will say I don't have as much success with the little $10 ones that you really need, if you're going to use staples, yeah, you do need a good one. So I will pass this around, and I would at home, I am actually going to hang these. So I'm actually going to put a hanger up here. I've just got to go get one from the hardware store. But like for the price of the design, and then for like, this was $2. You've got a beautiful piece of art. Right? So these are from OESD. Should we pull these up, Dee? So we've got these are sunny side up. I'll pass these around. And I will say this, I left this on my kitchen counter for a couple of days and water splashed on it from people crazy washing their hands. You don't want these to get wet. So you can kind of see how I got some That's because the canvas got wet. But
Can you put glass on? I mean, put glass on?
you sure. Yeah, regular embroidery thread, and I just used an 80 sharp needle. Yeah, good questions. So this is actually on sale. Yeah. This one it's on your sheet. It's $19.99. We've got it on sale. You do not have to buy the whole set. You can buy individual designs. I really like this one because you have like two, some of them have three colors. I think the Hot Mess had three colors, but they're really easy and quick to stitch out. All right, so we've all seen bowl cozies before, right? These aren't new. So a bowl cozy, you use it, you put it in the microwave, and then it keeps your hand from burning, right? Yes. So what we're going to talk about today is how you make ones that match your bowls and plates. And so you can kind of see these two bowls are different sizes. I don't know if you can even really, can you kind of tell that they're,
This side is bigger.
yes. And so if I try to put the larger bowl in there, it does fit, but it just doesn't go all the way to the bottom, right? It's not deep enough. So we're going to talk about how to shape these and how to make it fit your bowls. And you can also make them for plates. You can also make them for ice cream, little pints of ice cream. Somebody at another club, they were like, you actually eat a pint of ice cream? Don't judge. What is wrong with these people? All right. I know. Okay. Yes, I'm going to pass these around. So the first thing that you want to do is use cotton, all cotton. You've got to have cotton batting. You've got to have cotton thread. You've got to have cotton bobbin. If you use anything other than cotton, it could catch on fire in the microwave. Do not use anything other than cotton. So we do have some cotton batting. Would anybody like some? I've got some. All right. Some back here? Yes, we do on a break as well. So we've got cotton batting. Here's how you do this. So the template, again, I'm going to give you information on how to measure your bowls, but you don't have to write this down or remember it. So this is from a Baby Lock ambassador. Her name is Carolina Moore. And if you click on the link that I've provided for you on the Sewing Hoopla, or you can type in Carolina Moore bowl cozies, and that's how we pulled this one up. But I would go to sewinghoopla.com, just like I showed you guys, scroll down to February, and there's all the links. If you just click the bowl cozy, it'll take you here. There's a video here that she explains, again, what we're going to go over today. And there's also here where you can get the cheat sheet. All right, and so I'm going to show you what the cheat sheet looks like. The cheat sheet, where is it? Okay. All right, so here's the cheat sheet that you guys are going to get. And we're going to finish this up real quick, and then you guys are going to we'll take a break. So the cheat sheet works with either her box bag template or the Go Dye box bag template. They're the same thing. If you have an AccuQuilt system, the dye is amazing. I don't have AccuQuilt, so I have this one. Yes, awesome. So I'll tell you what, we're going to pass these around so they can see these. Okay, the die comes with two. One of them has the rounded corners. The other one is the dart and the boxed part. So if you're a bag maker, I use this every single week, multiple times. These tools are amazing. So if you're a bag maker, these work with any pattern. All right, let's talk about how to measure for these cozies. So the first thing you do is you measure around your bowl or your plate. I know. Let's break it. So you just measure around. So this one is 9.5. So you measure around and then you add 1/2 inch to that. So I would make a 10-inch square. That's how big my square is for the base. And you need a piece of batting, you need a piece of lining, and you need a main front. So you need 3 things for each bowl cozy. 2 pieces of fabric and a piece of batting, all measuring your bowl, and then adding 1/2 inch, okay? All right, then we've got to measure the darts. So to measure the darts, you can use a ruler and just hold it up there. And the bowl is about 3 inches tall. That's how wide I'm going to make my darts. My darts will be 3 inches. All right, so here's how it works. You want to put it on camera? I'm sorry, I should have told you that. Okay, I feel like I work at a restaurant here. All right. Is everybody good so far? How we got this size square? And we have 2 pieces of fabric and we have a piece of batting. Okay, you're gonna cut all of these the same way, but just for the simplicity of our demo, I'm just gonna have 1 piece here, okay? All right, bowl cozies. Have you guys seen the ones that have the pointed corners? Okay, if you want the one that has the pointed corners, then just leave the square as it is. If you want it to have the gentle rounded corners, what you'll do is, I would fold this, and I do this all at one time, but I'm just showing you guys. You would line up the rounded corner part, and you'd line it up with both straight edges, and you would just use a rotary cutter and round all 4 corners, okay? And the die is really easy to use. You just fold your fabric and run it through that die, and it's easy. Questions about how to round the corners? That's how we got those nice rounded corners. Okay, now we got to shape this thing. So we said that we measured from the table to the top of the bowl, and it was 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my fabric into halves, and I'm just going to kind of finger press it. Again, I would cut multiple layers at a time. I'm only doing 1 layer just because it's our demo. So what to do this, you just line up. I need a 3-inch dart, so I'm going to line up 3 and 3 with the bottom, and then I want to make sure that my fold is in the center. Does that make sense? All right, and now I'm going to cut it. Let's see here. And I'm going to have to turn it so that I can kind of face it. That might actually be better. I don't know. Okay, and I will say this here. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. I know, it's okay. It doesn't, there we go, I'll pull that one. I know, it doesn't like the little stopper on my ruler. I mean my, whatever this is. All right, so it has these little things. Again, the die has these as well. So either way, and it will stop me. It won't let me go too far. And then I just kind of turn it back over here. And there we go.
And you're going to do that on all 4 sides?
Yes, all 4 sides. And you can choose to quilt or not quilt. One of those is quilted, and I've actually washed the one that my husband's been using, and it's not quilted, and it still held up just as good. So I think if I made more, I wouldn't quilt them. I'll leave that up to you. But what you'll do is you'll do this on the lining, the batting, everything. So the batting and the lining, the batting and the main fabric are sewn together, all right? So you're actually going to sew up all of your darts, and then you'll do your lining, sew up all of your darts, and then you will join them at the lip of the bowl, at the lip of the cozy, around the top, and you'll just leave a little opening, maybe 2 inches to turn them, and then close it. You can close it by hand or you can close it by machine. This is an easy project. All right, our last 2 projects, we're getting ready to do those. We have a drawstring produce bag. Now, this doesn't have to be a produce bag. This has so many uses. Somebody in here was saying swimwear. This could also, a lot of ladies I know wash their undergarments, their delicate undergarments in a little bag. So you could make the whole thing knit and do that.
Different sizes?
Yes, there's 2 different sizes. This is a handout that you have. I will show you if you go to, we changed the instructions to fit a baby lock serger. If you go to the Sewing Hoopla and you scroll down to February, there's a link to the original blog post, and you can see all of the details on there as well. She has a little bit more details, but I believe both sizes are on the sheet. Are they not? This is a small.
Large bag.
Yeah, this one's the small. All right, so this goes together really fast because it uses a cover stitch and a 4-thread overlock combo. So I'm going to pass around a piece of the mesh. If you've never sewn with the mesh before, one side has a little bit more stretch than the other. So I'll pass that around. The mesh is on sale today, and so all right. So for the project, you need a front and a back made of mesh. You need a bottom that is made of a fabric. I used a cotton. And then you have your casing that you just fold in half. And again, you need 2 of these, and they're made from cotton. And of course, you need 2 drawstrings. So for your drawstrings, you can use ribbon. This is macrame cord. You can use anything. So you probably have the supplies to make this at your house. Maybe all you need is the mesh fabric. And this is also frequently used in the By Annie's bags. And a package will make, I don't know how many bags it'll make, but I mean, I'm down to like 4 and I still have a huge piece. So you can make a lot. So you're going to flip back and forth between serger and a cover stitch. The cover stitch is optional, but it does top stitch and hold your seam down nice and flat. I'll pass this around so you can see it. You don't have to top stitch, but if you don't top stitch, you guys know what I'm talking about. That little serge seam just kind of flips up. I'll pass this around. If you don't have a serger, what do you do? Yeah, if you don't own a serger, so you could sew this with a zigzag. Absolutely. Yes. And we definitely can hook you up. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to highlight this. So I recently got the Applaud, and until I got the Applaud, I did not realize I needed a standalone cover machine. This is the Euphoria. It's very similar to the Applaud. It doesn't have the decorative top stitching that the Applaud does, but I will tell you guys, when I threaded this thing, sometimes I have to get my easy threading guide out and it slows me down. But now that I have a cover stitch that is just all cover stitch, I don't have to use my guide anymore. Like it's easy. Okay. So threading the machines is easy, even if you have the Triumph, even if you have a combo machine, but just having a standalone machine, there's less to think about. I don't have to switch it over to modes. I don't have a lot of buttons to mess with. So I'm going to show you guys, will you help me get this? All right, we're going to set this up for a 2-thread right narrow. And in your easy threading guide, it has all of your settings. You may turn it a little bit. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So this is the easiest thing ever. So I'm going to open this up. The first thing I'm going to do is make sure that my needles are right. In your handout, it actually has how to set up the machine for a cover stitch. I'm going to use needles 2 and 3, which are the far right 2. So open up your cover, turn it to threading, and you're going to turn your little hand wheel until you hear a click, and this little tube is going to shut. All right, once that's in place, I can start threading. There's only one looper for this machine. It's the chain looper. So you start out and it goes from the front to the back through this little metal holy thing. That's an official term. Yeah. Do you guys give your tools like names? Okay. So you go from front to the back of the little metal part, and then you go behind this little metal disc, and it goes just kind of up and around into a tension guide in there, and you can kind of feel it. All right, and there's a little spot right there. I'm just going to make sure my thread is just nice right there behind it. I'm going to get a long enough piece and just stick it in there. All right. And so it looks like it didn't do anything, but if you open up over here, you will see the thread kind of over here. Can you see the thread? Okay, I'm good. So now I can just thread my needles. So this is needles 3, 2, and 1. And I'm going to thread needle 3 first. Just goes down in there, goes up, and it goes up and around. There's a little disc right here, and there is a metal guide right there. Now I'm threading needle 3, so I'm going to turn it to 3. I'm going to bring the needle threader down, and I'm just going to slip it in there. You can't hear it because there's this tiny little piece of metal, but it kind of feels like flossing your teeth. When you push it in there, you can feel like a click. So I'm going to bring this up, and my needle is threaded. And then this is needle 2, and it goes in the middle tension disc. It follows the exact same threading path. And now I'm going to move it to needle 2, bring down my threader, and just kind of put it in there. And I don't have a lot of tension. See how there's like some slack? So that slack just allows it to pull through the needle. There we go. And it's threaded. So now I'm going to bring it to serging mode. I'm going to shut all of these cases. Down here, I could adjust the length of my stitch, but I find that for the most part, I just leave my cover stitch about like a 2.5 or 3, and it's on a 3 now. I literally do not, I have to change any dials. It's just, I love this. Okay, when you're threading a cover stitch or a chain stitch, when you're first getting it started, if it's not already going back here with a chain, there has to be fabric underneath the needle, okay? And I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on these just so they don't tangle up around anything, but you basically just give it gas. And once it gets going, I'm just going to cut those off. And it is beautiful. And now that the chain stitch is established, I don't have to worry about fabric being underneath there anymore. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful stitch. This is what you use to top stitch and hold the seam down so it's not flipping up. All right, the last project of the day is paper piecing. All right, I know. People either love paper piecing or they hate it.
I've never tried it.
All right, so I do have a bonus machine embroidery version, so just stay tuned. I'm going to set this for this so that I don't go over. All right, this is, let's see, we pull up the thing. Again, when you go and you download the document, this is from Center Street Quilts, and what you're getting is, it is a free heart paper piece pattern. This is a really simple one to get started with. And if we click on the link, I'll show you where to find the, sorry Dee, I should have told you that. This particular designer has a lot of great paper piecing patterns. So if you make this and you enjoy it, check out her website, and she's got a ton of really fun stuff. It's not all free. So that's kind of, you get a little bit of her flavor, her style. But here it is right here. So there's a link. It's called Center Street Quilts, and this is her simple heart quilt block. And again, if you go to the Sewing Hoopla and you scroll down to February, there's a link for it, so you don't have to worry about where to find it. So what I did, I'll tell you, if you are not as familiar with paper piecing, starting with a big block is easier, okay? So I used the biggest block that she gives you, so you'll get a 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, and a 6-inch. And they all look like this. And I just did 4 6-inch blocks to make my trivet. And I used 2 layers of batting. I used cotton batting, and then I used the Insulbrite. The Insulbrite has one side that is metal, and I made sure that the metal part was facing this way so that when my bowl or my pan or whatever is sitting here, the metal's reflecting the heat back up, okay? So you don't have to use 2 layers, but I did use 2 layers. I used a layer of cotton, and then I used a layer of the Insulbrite. This cannot go in the microwave unless you want sparks to fly. So don't use it in the microwave. But today we're going to talk about making like one of these blocks. If you're interested in the quilting, these are IQ Designs. They are Design Suite collections. So Dee had it pulled up for us. Where is that? I swear, Dee.
Looking for that. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so the heart one is from the Geometric collection. The XOXO is from Holidays collection number 2. And these work in the Solaris, they work in the Radiance, or they work with palette. So if you want more information about these quilting designs, talk to me after club and I will show you how they work. All right, I did bring a sample with me. This is the Altair 2. It doesn't work on the Altair 2 unless you have palette. And so I can explain more of that later. But these design suites will work with palette or Radiance or Solaris. So we're going to do this paper piecing design here. So you got to print the design out, and you need to make sure that it prints at 100%. And there is a little measurement down here, and you want to measure it, okay? We do have paper piecing paper. This is like a newsprint, and the reason you use it is because you're actually going to be sewing on this, and then when you're done, you rip it away. All right. I'm going to use paper today. There's a lot of people that use paper, but when you use paper, you run the risk of it popping your stitches because it just doesn't tear away as easy as this. Yes, we're going to set all of that up. So let's do this. The reason I love paper piecing is because you don't have to do any prep. You literally just rip some strips and you roll with it and you get perfect points. So we're going to do this. All right, to set the machine up, we're going to go to sewing mode. And I'm going to use just a basic stitch, and the lady on the front row is correct. You're going to decrease your stitch length about 1.4, 1.6, something like that. The reason is because we're going to be ripping paper away. If you have a regular stitch, you run the risk of your stitches popping. Absolutely. So decrease your stitch length. And this is kind of like sewing by numbers. So you've got 1, 2, 3, you guys get it, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to be adding the pieces in that order. So piece 1 is right here, and it's a heart piece. Piece 2 is right here, and it's a background piece. So this is the first 2 pieces we're going to be adding, and that's the first seam that we're going to be sewing. All right, so tools that you need for this. A fabric glue stick is great. So we've got some back there. This is one that Be Sew In carries. I don't think they have it in today, but I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a glue stick. So grab you a fabric glue stick. And can I have those scissors? Yes. All right. You want to cut a piece that will fit this and be a little bit bigger, piece 1. So you don't worry about grain or anything like that. You just roll with it. Okay. For the very first piece, you put it right side up on the back, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And then, this is really great if you have a light table. I'm going to just kind of use the light to go through it, but I'm just going to kind of cover it. Okay, so I've got it on my thing. The fabric is right side up. Here's the back side here. I'm going to come over here and we're going to cut this fabric real quick. Yeah, okay, so here, let me. Okay.
The right side is facing you, or is it facing down?
So it's facing down, yeah.
Okay.
So for the first piece.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to fold. There's a line right here that I'm going to be sewing. That's my seam between 1 and 2. I'm going to kind of fold that line. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of fold there. And then we're going to create our seam allowance. And I'm using a glow ruler. If you haven't seen these, they're just so fun. I'm adding a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going from that fold just to a 1/4 inch. And then we're just going to cut it. All right. So now we've got this piece here, and you got to kind of think about how it's going to be pieced. When you sew seams, you're doing right sides together, correct? Right. Okay. So When I lay this other piece down, I'm going to put it so that they're right sides together. Okay? And I'm lining it up with that line I just cut. It's bigger than what I need. I don't mind wasting fabric because to me, it saves me time having to worry about cutting everything. So I'm going to carefully flip this back over and we're going to sew on that line and make a seam. All right. Over the paper. And ideally, you're going to be using the newsprint, right? So you're going to use cotton thread, use cotton bobbin. I'm using machine embroidery. I mean, it's going to hold up better if I use cotton. So use cotton. All right. Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. So you start a little bit, but you don't backstitch. So, and the fact that it's brown, you probably can see it better. So can you see I started a little bit before and did a little bit after? All right, now we're going to flip it open. And if I had an iron handy, I'd iron it. If not, you can kind of finger press it or use a roller. Absolutely. Now, once that's open, now we're going to go find piece 3. Oh my gosh, it's over here. Okay, here's piece 3. D. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to fold the line for piece 3. So use a ruler, and obviously my pieces are way too big, but it's better to have too big than too small. So for the demo, I'm going for it. Okay, there it is. I can also tell by the color that it needs to be a background piece. So I think I made the green background, the dark green. I'm just going to rip another piece off. Where I just lined it up, I put them right sides together where I just cut, just like that. And then I'm going to go sew that line. And she's not going to move the camera. You guys are going to have to trust me that I'm sewing it. I'll show you here in just a second. But you just keep going in this order. And I will say this is a simple foundation paper piecing pattern. There are more complex ones that you do pieces and then you join the bigger pieces together. So this is a good one to start with to see if you like it. Okay, there's the seam, and I just flip it open. And honestly, if I was at home, I'd have a little iron. You don't want to use water because it's paper, but you just keep going in that manner. Okay. And every fabric goes right side down except for the very first one. You just have to remember to put that one. Yeah. Yes. And then once you get it done, you can square up your block from this side, and you just this is the seam. So I just kind of line it up here, and I just cut it just like that. And then when you turn your block over, you've got this beautiful heart. I am going to encourage you guys to try this because it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. But I do want to show you one other thing before we do show and tell. I did digitize this. So if you go to the Sewing Hoopla, there's a bonus machine embroidery version. So if you can actually piece this on your embroidery machine. So if paper piecing isn't your thing, there's a machine embroidery version. I just would love for some people to make some hearts. So here's what it looks like. Here's the machine embroidery version. Oh, thank you. So I did want to point this out. There's simple instructions. I didn't take pictures, but I did write out instructions. I would do this. If you were going to make something like this, I would do one heart like this, and then I would go to edit, and I would flip it, mirror it, so that that the hearts are slightly different. Does that make sense? So I wish I would have done that, but I hope that we have inspired you to either try it. When you piece in the hoop, you're paper piecing. Don't tell anybody.